Alrighty, Walking Dead fans, welcome back, and this week some interesting news dropped about some more adaptations in The Walking Dead, some more TV shows, and more expanded lore. And this time, we have Tales of the Walking Dead. So, this is supposed to premiere sometime next summer, and what this is about is how this is going to be like a series that focuses on past and present characters, on what they did when the fall just began. So this is just like when everything first started on the show. This is when, the apocalypse first came to be, and this is gonna show how, characters from past and present got by, and some other stuff during the years during the apocalypse. And while I think it's a cool concept, I'm kind of worried about how they're gonna do, with people who are no longer on the show, because their characters are no longer on the show because they're dead. For instance, if you're gonna bring back an old character from the show who died, and that the actor or actress right now who is a decade older when the show first came out, when they first got in the roles, it's gonna be hard for Carl to reprise his role, because it's gonna be hard for a 22-year-old to play a 10-year-old unless he or any other cast member can go all Benjamin Button. Then it's gonna be hard. But I don't think Carl's gonna be on here. I do believe it's mostly one of the characters is gonna be Abraham, and he's gonna get his own episode and how he met Rosita, Eugene, what he did during the fall, etc. It just kind of focuses on where they were when it happened, how they kind of met each other. And so far as I'm concerned, there's only 6 episodes for the first season, so there was probably going to be more than one season, but we'll have to wait upon that. So I know for a fact, I've heard Abraham is most likely going to get his own episode. But other people I would like to see get on the show is the governor, how he rose to power, and how he came to be with Woodbury and such. Lori and Shane, how they, found the group. Maybe they can try to focus an episode on Glenn. Maybe what Maggie was doing during the 6 years she was away from Alexandria and such. There's a lot of stuff that they can do. There's whole lot of uncharted territory that the series can do. And like I said, one of my main concerns is how the cast is much older, and unless they have some sort of Benjamin Button ability to reverse their age a decade younger, then it's kind of hard to exactly reprise their role to when they first came onto the screen. But another interesting concept that I would like to see on this series is how Atlanta fell during like when the fall happened. So, for those who don't know, there was originally a script for like the season 2 premiere on how like when the military got involved in Atlanta and the tank where Rick gets inside in and he come acrosses the walker inside the tank in the first episode. So the story was going to focus on that. The story was going to focus on the military's perspective on how, you know, they failed during the fall, but for whatever reason, it was scrapped. I forget. I'm not sure why, but yeah, you can see there's a whole lot. There was originally an idea to have like a group of soldiers to try to clean house in Atlanta, and you know they get overrun, and the last walker would have been like in the tank, and that walker was, if you recall in the first episode in The Walking Dead, when Rick gets in the tank, and yeah, and then I think the episode would have ended with some old faces like Andrea and such. I mean, I would love to see, you know, the zombie apocalypse from, you know, like a soldier's perspective or a first responder's perspective. And I mean, I'm sure you got Rick, who's a sheriff, but keep in mind he was still in a coma during all this. But I would love to see how, you know, the military and how they had to handle this kind of predicament. And you know, this is kind of like an episode that even the writer or whoever came up with the idea kind of regretted. I forget why it was scrapped, but I don't know if it was a budget thing or they just... I don't know what the whole story upon that is, but I would have loved to have seen that episode. But yeah, I think this episode, I think this series could work, you know, if, you know, like the makeup crew or whatever, you know, could somehow make the characters look 10 years slightly younger. I would love to see, because there's going to be a whole lot of old faces, I believe, on the series. You're probably going to have Abraham, Laurie, Shane, T-Dog, etc. And it'd be pretty cool, you know, to follow those characters on where they first were when everything went down. And how they all met each other, you know, how Laurie and Shane met Glenn, you know, what was Glenn doing, where was he when all this happened, and how the group came together. Like, there's a whole lot of uncharted territory that, you know, this is a good opportunity for them to kind of like cover. And as I mentioned, you know, I would love to see the governor again, you know, how he rose to power. But there's also going to be like they're going to be showing stories that were briefly touched, like the dollar bill note Daryl found. There's going to be like an episode dedicated to that. You know, there's just going to be a lot of stories and uncharted territory that were briefly touched in the series, and they have a lot of material they can cover it with. So I believe there's going to be an episode based on the family where Daryl found that dollar bill with the note on it in the subway in DC. So, but I would also like to see an episode based on the CDC and Dr. Jenner and how, how Jenner situation, went from bad to worse, and how the CDC couldn't really find any answers or think of any solutions to the walkers. I think that'd be a pretty cool episode as well, because once again, you get the show from an expert, from a doctor and a scientist's perspective, trying to figure out what the heck is going on, and it'd be cool to focus on that kind of perspective. Maybe the show could focus on like T-Dog, maybe, or Morales, what he was doing off screen when his time between when he left season 1 and came back as a savior. They could focus on, how Morales became a savior. There's a lot of stuff that this show can do, and I'm excited because, again, there's so much stuff they can cover, and we can see a whole lot of old faces again, and I believe they're going to be covering some characters who are still alive, like Maggie, and what she was doing during her time off the show. So it gives the show, an opportunity to, come up with a logical and story reason to what she was doing and why she kind of left the show. So this could all work out. But as I mentioned, my main concern is, how the actors are now a decade older from their characters, and, Daryl has long hair compared to season 1. Carol has long hair compared to the first season, and it's just a lot of, although they could also do Merle and how they could do his time off screen when he got out of Atlanta and when he met the governor. I think that'd also be a pretty cool opportunity the show could focus on. I mean, there's a whole lot this new show could focus upon that, if it's done right, then by all means, I would definitely be all for it, especially if I'm going to see a lot of familiar faces again, like Shane, Laurie, Abraham, and whoever else could come upon the show. But yeah, overall, I'm excited. I'm not too worried just yet if the makeup crew can somehow, make the cast look like their characters from a decade ago, then I think it could work, I would definitely love to see how Laurie, Shane, Glenn, Abraham, what they were all doing when the fall just began, and, how they all met each other. Yeah, so hopefully more news comes sometime in the future, and yeah, I suppose you just can't get enough Walking Dead this year.